We got some good news, and we got some other good news. The good news is David Festa heard positive news from Dr. Keith Meister about his barking right shoulder. The other good news is there's only 2 weeks left in the Twins' regular season from heck. The best news of all, it's time to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Wow. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who likes to hit only as a last resort. I'm also a BBWA member and a voter for baseball's Hall of Fame. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, a man who doesn't hit unless hitting first. Anyway, Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find Brandon's written work at the Access Twins newsletter, and you can find mine at Pitcher List and elsewhere. On this podcast, the Twins are 3-10 in September and 18-35 since the All-Star break. That's not too good, Al. You probably would kill for some good news. Well, you don't have to kill anyone because we got it for you, murder-free. David Festa's TOS, that's not his terms of service, is not really the bad kind, where a surgeon like Dr. Keith Meister will have to move around veins and muscles or maybe remove some ribs. It's nerve-related. Are you nervous? Don't be yet. Walker Jenkins hit his first home run at the St. Paul Saints home ballpark, and hopefully it's his last because their home season is over, as is my understanding, and next year he could start with the Twins at Camden Yards if all things go well. No matter, Jenkins is healthy, he says, for the first time since he got drafted in 2023. How about that? Best news of all, there's only 2 weeks left of the regular season, as we said. That and more, but first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That sounds like a good deal. Why don't you download the app today and get to FanDueling? Brandon, we have an injection of good news for the Twins and righty David Festa. His thoracic outlet syndrome has been diagnosed as mild. That's air quotes. It's not the kind where it's venous or heinous or muscular or where they got to like remove ribs, like some supermodel trying to lose weight, these people.
Or late 90s musician.
Yes. It's the kind where maybe they can give you an injection. There's a shot for that. And maybe that it will clear it up. David Festa has visited the Keith Meister, Dr. Keith Meister, making surgeries, but not this time, we hope. Got good news saying that it's the good kind of thoracic outlet syndrome, which just sounds horrifying. You could not name a condition in a scarier way. The Twins are going to go back to Texas pretty soon after their homestand before the season ends, and we think that's when the injection will happen. And it's supposed to be like instantaneous if it works right. And then Festa will not have a long off season messed with by surgery. And, he's not going to start late in spring training. And, best of all, his shoulder will stop hurting. This is some of the best news of the season, I would say, considering what it could have been.
Yeah. This is my like caveman brain. Whenever I think of thoracic outlet syndrome, I'm like, have you tried unplugging it and then plugging it back in? Like, it's just going to go in there and plug it back in. And we've seen, though, like the negative.
Use a power strip. Yes,
that's unlimited power. You plug the power strip into itself, and it's a hack for unlimited free electricity. But the Twins saw how negative TOS can be with Phil Hughes. It more or less ended his. I mean, it ended his effectiveness as a big league pitcher. And there have been countless other examples. I don't know who would be the poster child or the poster athlete for successful recovery. Trying to think of was Garrett Richards, maybe, if I remember correctly.
There's more than one, but yeah, it's
not many.
It isn't
And
necessarily.
it's complicated. Like there's so many different things that you have to account for. And then it's shoulder related. Shoulders are already tricky. Shoulders have ended many careers. Johan Santana comes to mind. And so all of this, I think, and I wanted to make sure I brought this up here before we move on to other things. I think this is what predicates the move to the bullpen for a guy like Festa. And maybe I'm wrong, but I also think too, if you look at the depth chart as it stands right now, he's probably no higher than 6th going into next year, 7th maybe. Again, a lot depends on how you view if they'll trade a couple guys, if you think Bailey Ober is a viable option after an offseason and all that sort of thing. But I think that combined with the health uncertainty of the Slim Reaper would suggest that he and maybe Monday night starter Simeon Woods Richardson are the first 2 out for me as relievers, which, we've seen this bullpen. I actually wrote a note on it for the game tonight. This is the 2nd highest bullpen ERA the Twins have had in any month ever. It's like 7.95. They had an 11 point something back in the mid 90s. I think it was 96, like one of the first months of 96. But this bullpen is the most fixable thing you can have in an off season. It's not easy and it's not guaranteed, but if you're trying to fix things internally, I think David Festa, Simeon Woods Richardson, and a few other guys are where it's going to start from. So it's good news in the sense that Festa is dealing with something a lot less nefarious than we originally thought. But I do think it probably not effectively ends, but puts a pretty close halt to him and his future as a starter.
Well, if you look at what's happening, you were looking for examples of other guys who've had it. I can tell you who is about to have it, or maybe he's had it already. I'm not sure, but Zach Wheeler from the Phillies.
That's right.
He's needed surgery on it, so he's got a little bit more. We don't have it's not 100% that this is just the first indication from Keith Meister, that Dr. Keith Meister to you,
Keith Meister,
that Festa is probably going to avoid the surgery and just get an injection. Wheeler is not.
Yeah,
he's getting surgery for sure. So his is a little more complex. When you're talking about Festa's, nervous, not like I'm freaking out, nerves. When you're talking about compressed nerve, it's a better situation than a vein or a muscle. And
now is this is less recovery time than Tommy John, but also less predictable or less.
Well, yes,
right?
that's Wheeler, but it's not Festa. Festa.
No, I just mean it's not as long of a recovery, but it's also less certain.
Yeah, you got the outcomes. It's a lot darker in terms of we don't have a lot of light.
He might be back in June, and he also might be cooked.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Wheeler could be at the end of his effectiveness. It's not impossible to say. So Festa avoids this if everything goes well. And you talk about now putting him in the bullpen for sure. I think let's not put the cart before the horse. I mean, that might be, we'll see how the roster is constructed. Yeah. But this is a situation where it's a different injury than what you remember. Zebby had shoulder issues earlier this season. That was his rotator cuff. Scary enough. You don't really want to hear that either, but it's not, this is a situation where you fix the nerve and you fix the problem. So I don't know if Festa, if he's definitely destined to be a reliever now. I think maybe this opens up more possibilities than before. So I think it sort of puts everything back on the table. Now, again, how his stuff plays and other factors, roster factors, we'll see. But as far as the physical aspect of it goes, I think it opens things up a little bit more, and that's good.
Yeah, by not having him opened up, it opens things up. A lot will come down to if their first 2 starters next year, or first 3 are Taj Bradley, Zebby Matthews, and Bailey Ober, or if it's Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, and I think Zebby would be my number 3. But Yeah, or if they sign somebody, which laugh in the face of that. But it'll come down to a lot of things. And so just like any other Derek Falvey-led operation, us trying to predict what will happen will probably blow up in our faces because they always do something we don't expect by hook or by crook. So we'll see what happens there. But I think if I were to put my gambler cap on, I think Festa is likely to move to the bullpen. It's not as likely as Louis Varland was before, and I don't know if it's more or less likely than SWR, but I see those two guys in the bullpen if the Twins go into 2026 saying, listen, we still have the bones, the skeleton of a good team. Let's build toward being decent in 2026.
Yeah, I happened to locate a couple of thoracic outlet syndrome surgery success stories. Merrill Kelly had it.
Oh, yeah.
Alex Cobb had it. Alex Cobb's had lots of other physical problems, but he got through that. And Frankie Montas also had lots of other physical problems.
They're Frankie.
That. So, but again, Festa, no surgery, good. Thoracic outlet syndrome, still scary.
Yep.
Not so scary. Commercial breaks. They help us get through these shows. Let's enjoy one now.
Well, we're in full swing in the NFL season, and FanDuel wants to make sure you are ready for every kickoff with a can't miss offer. And again, I cannot overemphasize. This is one of the best ones I've seen. I've seen a lot of FanDuel offers over the years because right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if that bet wins, you'll get $300. That's 3 big Benjamins in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I'm feeling on any given day. If I'm feeling some same game parlays, if I want a little bit of, head-to-head action in terms of who's going to win, or just jump in on some live action. Say you think that your guy JJ McCarthy can have another big fourth quarter like he did not do on Sunday. You can get in on the action by doing that. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays and your Thursdays and your Mondays and whenever else they have football, because it seems like they're adding football all the time. I'm not complaining, so are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. There might be $300 in bonus bets waiting on the other end. And we also got to share our love for Prize Picks. This episode brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, like when should we record the show? Who should we talk about? We're going to talk about Austin Martin today for a bit. And then we figured, you know what? We'll do report cards at the end of the season because we're going to need something to fill that time. Well, you can fill your time with Prize Picks because being right means you get to cash in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections and watch your hot takes turn into hot prizes, hot cash, all in fewer than 60 seconds, faster than you can brew your cup of coffee in the morning or anything that gets you going. Prize Picks is just as quick. And you get those fun projections. Do you think Josh Allen's going to go over 270 passing yards or Saquon Barkley more than 1 rushing touchdown, which feels like easy money right now, the way the Eagles have been playing. But the best part is, too, even if one of your picks misses, Prize Picks invented the flex play, so you can still double your money. You got to go look for yourself. There are so many different ways to play, and Prize Picks wants to be at the forefront of it all. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Locked On Twins is back for, September 15th?
Right in the middle.
We got 2 weeks left, 13 games.
And the Yankees
do it. The Yankees, you're saying?
Yeah, it's the Yankees for 3 and the Guards for 4, and then it's road. It's road trip stuff for the rest of the season, and it's all that fun stuff for the winter. Snow flying and all that. So enjoy the last couple weeks of the season, because even ugly baseball is better than no baseball, at least in my purview.
I suppose that's right. I suppose. We want to check in on Walker Jenkins. We're probably just going to, you know what? Let's make it a goal to have something about Walker Jenkins in every show.
The Walker Jenkins segment brought to you by the Walker Jenkins Foundation. Get him to the big leagues. Maybe
we could get it sponsored. But Walker Jenkins is hitting at AAA since being promoted to St. Paul, 246, 420. So that's not too high of a slugging percentage, but also with a week to go, the stats could go up. But it shows that he's 20 years old, so it's kind of amazing in and of itself, no matter his talent.
Well, and I'll pull this up too.
He's handling it.
He also started like 1 for 20 or something too. So I'm going to pull up the splits because I don't have the exact numbers offhand.
You should stretch before you do the splits. But and this is what he said. This is what caught my eye. I mean, it's true. It's not like a revelation, but it's still to hear it come out of his mouth. This is the first time I've been right since I got drafted, Jenkins said. He's not talking politically. He's talking like health. His health feels good, as Mike Ditka once put it. It's just been so nice to go and play and be able to go hard how I like to play the game. And he's got 15 stolen bases on the year. He makes an occasional diving catch in the outfield, playing center. He's handling AAA. Now, he's not overwhelming yet like he was at AA, but there was a little bit of a curve there. And you mentioned the 1 for 20 to start the St. Paul season. And they have,
I have the data for that.
About a week to go. Dan or Brandon, tell us what's the news on Walker Jenkins?
Well, so his stretch here that's been better coincides with the start of September. So he had 1 hit in August before the calendar flipped. And then since then, this is 12 games. So 53 plate appearances, 327, 377, 551 slash. So a 928 OPS. Here's a fun fact. 347 plate appearances taken across all levels this year. That includes, I would assume this includes a handful of games at Fort Myers and then the FCL. He has taken, like I said, 347 plate appearances. According to Baseball Reference, guess how many of those plate appearances have been against pitchers younger than him?
I'm going to say 7.
4.
Wow.
4. And I assume that includes his time at all levels. It doesn't say otherwise. So the couple of games on his rehab that he played at the Complex League, or actually only played 1 game there at the Complex League, played with the Muscles for 8 games in mid-June and then jumped to Wichita. I have to assume that means even in those levels, he was playing mostly guys he was younger than. And at 20 and 208 days as of this writing, well, not writing, I guess, but broadcasting, he is, I'm trying to pull up, of course, now here as I'm trying to load his page, his average age is...
I've got that ready to go, Brandon. Okay. I'm ahead of you.
I'll let you have it.
Okay, good. At St. Paul, he's 6.3 years younger than the competition, the average age. At Wichita, he was 3.9. At your friend Fort Myers, he was 0.9, so just under a year younger. And he had some rehab. He had 3 rehab appearances in the Complex League. Yeah, 3.
That's got to be 3 of the 4 plate appearances then of pitchers who were younger than him, doesn't it? I mean,
it must be. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, so he was like 5/10. I don't know. Is 0.5? Is that 6 months? You know what I mean?
I think technically, 6 months is how we're supposed to read that.
Okay, so 6 months older than the average competition in the Complex,
which was probably 1 pitcher. 3.
Right, it was 1 game. He only played in 1 game. We can find the box score. We can figure. No, we don't have to do that. But
we can work it out.
So he's a young man. I mean, as Rock.
Long way of saying it. Yes.
Yes. He's a kid out there. Almost. He's not like Brett Favre having fun, but he's 20 years old and he's handling AAA. I think he can still put like a nice cherry on top of the sundae with his stats, but okay, so it's only, 18 games so far, so maybe 20 up to 25 games, 24 games left.
Yeah.
Or 24 total. Is that do we think maybe he could start with the Twins out of the gate next year on opening day, or are they going to hold him back a little bit? It's impossible to say for sure, but it's also like 50-50, so it is possible. What do you think?
With the way that they've written the CBA to where if the guy gets a year of service time with you and finishes in the top 2, you get a comp balance A pick. Like it's an incentive. With that said, does that counterbalance? Oh, let's hold him down for 3 weeks or a month or whatever it is to get that year of extra control. And how do you value that year of control? Like, is that year of control valued at the last year of arbitration where it might be in the $20 million range? I don't know the exact calculus for all that. So however you value a draft pick versus what he might be worth in year 6 or 7, it's all Greek to me. But I think the smart money, nod, nod, wink, wink, is that he'll probably start at St. Paul for a month or until, somebody runs into an outfield wall and they need help.
Well, don't say that, but
I didn't say who. I just said someone.
Okay. The way the team is owned right now, who owns the team at the moment, I don't know that the Pohlads are going to be interested in, if they really are thinking about keeping the team for years, maybe. But if they're actually thinking about kind of lying low until the business with the Players Association is settled, I don't know that I see them volunteering to pay Walker Jenkins, $1 million a year when they don't have, or whatever it would be,
right?
When they don't have to. So even though it might be smart to do that and smart to do with Keyshaw in the long run, I don't know if the financial situation is going to be right based on the timeline of how long they're going to own the team for. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't even know. Even
the financial situation, it's the ethics of the situation. Why would you ever trust them to do anything than the bare minimum? I know they fronted the money for Donaldson and Correa, which in a way showed commitment like they hadn't before. But I think, I don't know exactly the relationship between ownership and Falvey, but if they're sticking with him, I think that they would give him the freedom to do that within whatever their extrapolated budgets are for the coming season. I think maybe they would do that and let him decide and say, all right, well, it's coming out of the back end on some free agent or whatever. And if he thinks that's okay, then that's okay. I think that's how they may not plan to be here in 6 or 7 years. And maybe that's not that's someone else's problem too. Who knows? Yeah. But if they don't know, or, it might be, it's there's some confusing times right now for the Minnesota Twins. It's not the end of the world if they don't sign Walker Jenkins and Luke Keyshaw right now, I guess. But I think the longer they go, the closer they get to arbitration and free agency, the less sense it makes. So I would do on the same day in, I think it was 2019, they signed Max Kepler and Jorge Polanco to extensions, and they were fairly similar extensions. And those two guys have been inextricably linked since they signed with Miguel Sano in the same international free agency period. Not the same link necessarily, but if you sign those two guys to, the 6-year, 30 whatever $million, $40 million deal, the old Scott Kingery with hopefully more success, I think that would go a long way to rebuilding some fan sentiment, especially if you're not going to do it with Joe Ryan, which granted, with how Joe Ryan's contract situation lays out, maybe you just want to let that play out, or maybe you're going to trade him. But it would be much more sensible and good for PR standpoint to sign these two guys to contracts that say, listen, you're going to be here a long time. You may have to do the Cheerio with Milwaukee deal for Jenkins. Keishel, I think you could probably go a little lower, but then also he's got a year of a leg up on service time. So again, I don't know how that would all work, but that would be important and very good for the team to do for PR reasons.
And Joe Ryan, did you see the graphic that Aaron Gleeman had up of his ERAs in the second half for his career? They're
I know it's like 4.72
after June.
Yeah, his career ERA in the second half coming into his last start is 4.72, and that only went up. I mean, he didn't pitch particularly well. So maybe he's got that Jose Barrios thing where he's pushing too many cars on the beach in the Dominican Republic in the winter. I don't think that's the case, but
shouldn't cars go on the road?
Yeah, Jose's never been a conventional cat. Love that guy, but he's an interesting cat.
All right, this is interesting too. We're going to take our last break, and then we have a couple weeks of the regular season to talk about with a bunch of guys, a veritable potpourri of Twins over the final couple weeks here.
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me sitting here with my container of Nutrafol. It is hair growth nutraceuticals. And if you don't know what that means, let's get into it. You've probably seen a million ads for hair regrowth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. I mean, if you're watching sports, national sports at any given time, the advertising is directed towards men like Dave, you, me, everyone. And it's guys sitting on their couch, eating snacks and worried about their hairlines. So there are so many products out there. It's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. And that's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Again, I said last time too, my wife has been telling me about this stuff unprompted before we even had them as a sponsor. Great stuff. And again, no ulterior motives. She backs it as a hair professional, and now I do too. It's the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And if you want proof, I mean, mine's coming in pretty good, wouldn't you say? I mean, Dave, you could be the eyes and ears for us listening, right?
It looks great, Brandon. Why didn't you try this sooner?
And you can also feel good about it knowing that Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. So if you want to know if it's scientifically backed, I'm here to tell you, yes, indeed, it is. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription, as well as free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB.
Yeah, so 2 weeks left to go. The Twins need to go. I mean, but
home.
If they went,
the 7-6 to get to 90 losses.
7-6.
Yeah.
7. That'd be 90.
So 8-5 would avoid 90 losses, I think.
Yes, 8-5 would do it. If they went 8-5, they go 73 and 89, assuming all games are played.
Right.
It was a question I was thinking about asking Rocco when they were in Minnesota, in Kansas City, but I didn't because I knew kind of what the answer would be. And it was, do you care if you lose 90 games? Is it important? Does it look worse? Does it make you feel worse about the season?
Have I ever told you my Carl Pavano 2011 story about that?
You have, but go ahead, do it again. It's always worth telling.
So it was the last game of the year. It was the last game of John Gordon's broadcast career, the guy, Wally Holland from Little Big League. And Pavano shows up and he's got his mustache. He does not have any other facial hair. And he pitches them to victory. The Twins walk it off. I think Trevor Plouffe got the game-winning hit, but I'm not sure. But anyway, we're talking to Pavano, and we're like, dude, what's with the mustache? And he's like, well, actually, I can't grow a beard. I fell into a fence when I was a kid, and it cut up my whatever, so I can't grow a beard.
Ow.
So it's like a mustache. It's the elusive mustache. And everybody's like, oh, is that, was it a big deal to have the mustache and, avoid 100 losses because they went 63 and 99 that year? And he goes, I'm not going to tell you it's great to win 63 games, but I'll tell you it's a lot better than losing a bleeping 100. And he said like effing 100. And just the way he kind of like, it just the drawl, a lot better than losing a 100. It was hysterical. I don't know if 90 has the same optics, but I would guess it's still something players are like, geez, 80 something losses. At least you can say, hey, we were within shouting distance of 500. At 90, it starts to get a little more bleak.
Yeah, you can't say about the Twins if they go at 73 and 89. You can't say they were a 90-something loss team when summarizing what happened. So that's kind of, I mean, it isn't the same thing as 100 or 500 on the, closer to mediocre side. But I think it would be nice if they, Rocco gave a couple speeches, I guess, like, hey, you guys were playing hard, but we were just a couple mistakes away from winning a couple more games. And maybe if they can eliminate those mistakes in the last couple weeks, it'll make him feel better about the end of the season and them too. With
that said, Tankathon has them a half game off the pace for the second spot in lottery odds of winning the number 1 overall pick. White Sox at 26.83% as of this reading, 21.54 for Pittsburgh, 16.26 for the Twins. Thanks for the memories, but we'll see if the Twins and the Rockies, Nationals, and Angels, the Rockies especially, this is bleak, can't pick above 10th. And that's where the White Sox found themselves this last year after a tremendously bad season. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of like that it decentivizes outright absolute tanking. Sure. But with that said, anywhere getting a higher up pick. I know there's a couple of guys that people really like. Rock, I don't know how to say the last name.
Baldelli.
Yeah, I think tank hard for Lombard is a good one too.
So other than avoiding that in the last couple of weeks, we're seeing Austin Martin getting on base a lot.
Yes.
It's small sample defense. His defensive numbers, I don't know how it looks to you, how he's playing the outfield. I would say this. It looks better than last year because last year, remember, it seemed like he forgot to play how to play the outfield. Well, it doesn't look that bad this year.
He brought it to base running instead, but he forgot how to run the bases for a while. But you know what? Again, aggressive mistakes, they're in general, aggressive mistakes, managers are more likely to overlook them, especially so when you're basically playing organized scrimmages right now, with fans in the building. So play hard, and that's all you can ask. And Luke Keeschel, I want to say this. He is still playing like his hair is on fire, going into bases, running the bases aggressively.
I think that's how he is.
Good. It's good aggression. It's when there's a ground ball to the right side and he's going to second, he might take third if you're not ready for him. That's the kind of leader you need on a team that's identity is going to be up in the air next year. It's Byron Buxton will be the guy, but what's the identity after that? Is it a team that hustles and grinds? Is it a team that tries to hit for power? Is it a team that tries to do this or that? I think Keeschel as the number 2 identity in that clubhouse could be a very good thing moving forward.
I sense that the running game is helping. I don't know if it's helping him hit or whatever, but Royce Lewis seems to like it, and he likes the aggressiveness, and he's compiling some stolen bases.
Well, we pulled the data on it.
In the bases too, but yeah,
we pulled the data on it. His sprint speed has increased every single month this season.
Yes,
and I don't know if they've used it on the broadcast yet, so hopefully they do. But it goes to show, one, that hamstring is feeling good enough to where he can push it. But also, too, there was more in the tank that, he's feeling confident in everything, all systems go. Who knows where that confidence was hitting-wise, too? Like, is the tide going to rise altogether to where Royce Lewis next year hits the ground running, both, metaphorically and for real?
And look at it like Byron Buxton looks at it, feeling healthy enough last year to play in 100 games, feeling healthy enough this year to play the outfield. It seems to have lifted him in all aspects of his game. And he certainly is enjoying himself more than last year. Not that last year was like a bummer compared to other seasons because he got out there and played. But there is something there in both in Lewis too, that seems like there's a spark in him and a confidence that maybe wasn't there before. So
if he plays the rest of the way out, let's say 12 of the 13, that's 126 games. That's a pretty respectable total for most players.
For sure. So those are some good things. I think that we've talked about the Twins running game before, that being a positive thing for the last 6 weeks of the season, even though it hasn't brought wins and losses, results on that end. I think that's mostly or a lot because they traded most of the bullpen. So, but that's going to happen. What else is going on? Bailey Ober, he broke a 90 yesterday, speaking of breaking 90, but then he also gave up a big home run. He lasted 6 innings and struck out a season high. That's good. Got 18 swinging strikes to equal a season high. That's good. 101 pitches. But he gave up a home run to James McCann.
Big one.
Left one over the plate. So it's still like, well, if Bailey Ober isn't throwing 91, 92 like he did before, is he going to be able to have the kind of success he was having there for those 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons going forward? I don't know that we're any close to knowing the answer to that question.
No, I think you're right. And it was funny because he and Krismot, the fellow pitching for the Diamondbacks, both touched 91.0, but didn't throw a single pitch faster than that, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was just that kind of day at the ballpark. I think it might have been a hotter or a higher feels like temperature at the park than their velo. But he doesn't feel like the kind of guy that you send out to the bullpen and there's a huge uptick. I think he might be physically what he is now, tapped out, maxed out. And maybe the profile there is, number 5 starter as he's getting more expensive and maybe he becomes a journeyman. And that's a real shame because he seemed like a good dude, but I don't know. Yeah, he's going to be more of a question mark than anything going into next year. We'll hear a lot of stories about how his throwing goes, and we'll be watching closely the radar guns in Fort Myers. All this assuming they don't trade him or non-tender him or whatever. But not that I think that they should do either of those things. But it's just going to be a winter of we don't know. And until games start mattering again next year, you can't really count on him for much.
Yankees coming in. Last thing here. Yankees coming in. They've won 8 of 10. It's always fun when the Yankees come to town. It's not actually, but we'll see.
Different energy at the ballpark for sure. They have the best. This is not going to surprise anybody. The best record of any visiting AL team, or actually of any AL team at Target Field. It's
that does not come as a surprise. You're correct.
650 or something like that. Yeah.
Carlos Rodon and Simeon Woods Richardson today. Cam Schlitter and Zeb Meister on Tuesday.
That should be a fun one.
Louis Gil and Taj Bradley on Wednesday. Yeah, that Cam Schlitter versus Zebby Matthews should be good. That's the fun. That'll be a fun.
He throws the crap out of the ball. He throws it right in the Schlittler.
So on that note, I want everybody to know a couple things. One, you should subscribe to Locked On Twins because that way you can get the postcast with Luke Inman every day. If you want to subject yourself to what happened in the Twins game today, you watch Luke Inman after every game. And also, we want to thank you for locking yourself in with us and making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, the postcast. For your next listen after that, find the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. So we've got like 6 weeks to go, 2 months, I don't know. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. So, for my friend Brandon Warne, this is Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night. See, we went over 4 minutes.
6
Which means you get more free stuff than you usually get.
Yes.
So it's such a deal.
Yeah.